Now the next sutta is 7.5.49. Once when the Exalted One dwelt near Champa on the banks of Lake Gagara, a company of lay disciples from Champa visited the Venerable Sariputta, saluted him and sat down at one side. And seated thus they said to him, "It's been long, Reverend Sir, since we heard a Dhamma talk from the Exalted One's mouth. How good it would be to do so." Then Venerable Sariputta said, "Then come next Uposatha day, friends, and maybe you'll hear one." "Yes, Reverend Sir," they rejoined, and getting up, the lay disciples from Champa saluted the Venerable Sariputta and departed, keeping him on their right. I'll just stop here to comment. The Uposatha day are the days of the lunar calendar, the 8th day, the 15th day, the 23rd, and the last day, the 30th, or if there's no 30th, then the 29th day of the lunar calendar. These are the days when the lay people would keep the 8 precepts, and monks would also give Dhamma talks on those days. And you notice when the lay people departed, they kept their right shoulder to the Venerable Sariputta. This is an Indian tradition. When you show respect, your right shoulder faces the monk. And that is why also monks we sit with the senior monk on our right. And also we bear our right shoulder. This is all Indian custom. And the sutta continues. Now when the day was come, they approached the Venerable One, saluted and stood at one side. And with them the Venerable Sariputta visited the Exalted One, saluted and sat down at one side. So seated, he said to the Exalted One, "Lord, may a man's gift be given here in such a way as to become not great in fruit, great in profit. And may the gift be given in such a way as to become great in fruit, great in profit." "It may be, Sariputta. And what, Lord, is the reason, the cause?" "Consider, Sariputta, a self-seeking man, wrapped up in the result, seeking reward, who gives a gift thinking, 'I'll enjoy this hereafter,' and to recluses and Brahmins gives this gift, food, drink, clothing, vehicle, garlands, perfumes, ointments, bed, dwelling, lighting. What think you, Sariputta, might a man give here such a gift?" "Yes, Lord." "Now he who gives thus wise, Sariputta, thereafter, on the breaking up of the body after death, arises in the company of the 4 royal devas. And when he has exhausted that deed, power, glory, dominion, he becomes a returner, a comer to this state here. Then consider one who gives a gift, but is no self-seeker, not wrapped up in the result, seeking no reward, nor thinks to enjoy the fruit hereafter. Yet he gives, thinking it's good to give. Or one who thinks not so as he gives, but thinks, this was given in the past, done in the past by my father and my father's father. I ought not to allow this ancient family custom to lapse. Or he thinks not so, but he thinks, as those sages of old had those great offerings, Ataka, Vamaka, Vamadeva, Vesamita, Yamatagi, Angirasa, Bharadvaja, Vaseta, Kasapa, and Bagu, so will I make this alms distribution. Or he thinks not so, but thinks, this gift of mine calms the mind, and joy and gladness arise. Or he thinks not so, but he gives a gift to improve the mind, to equip the mind, and to recluses and Brahmins he gives this gift, food, and so forth. What think you, Sariputta? Might a man give here such a gift? Yes, Lord. Now he who gives thus wise, thereafter, on the breaking up of the body after death, arises in the company of the Devas or Brahma's host. And when he has exhausted that deed, power, glory, dominion, he becomes a non-returner, a comer not to this state here. Verily, this is the reason, the cause, why a man's gift given in one way may become not great in fruit, great in profit. And this is the reason, the cause, why given in such a way, the gift may become great in fruit, great in profit. And that's the end of the sutta. So here this sutta is saying, when we give a gift, we should not think of the result. We should not think of enjoying the result of that gift. We should give without a selfish thought. just because it is good to give. And because if a person acts with a selfish thought, then he becomes a returner, he comes back to this world again. But if he behaves without a self, even when he gives, he does not think of any reward for himself, because he acts like an Arya, then eventually he becomes an Arya. We know in some other suttas the Buddha said always to see the body and the mind is not I, not mine, not myself. And we have to learn to act like an Arya, and slowly we'll become an Arya. The next sutta is 7.5.50. Once the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana, with a company of the monks of the Sangha, walked a tour near South Hill, and it was then that Nanda's mother, a lay disciple of Velukanda, rose before dawn one night and sang the way to the beyond. Now at that time the royal Deva, Vesavana, was going from the north to the southern quarter on some business or other. And he heard Nanda's mother singing and stopped and waited for the end. And when she had finished, she was silent. Then the royal Deva, Vesavana, perceiving she had finished, rejoiced greatly, saying, "Well done, sister, well done." And she said, "But who is it, O thou of august countenance?" "Sister, it is I, your brother, the royal Deva, Vesavana." And she said, "Hail, august one, pray, let this Dhamma hymn sung by me be your gift of greeting." And he said, "Well done, sister. Yes, let this verily be my gift of greeting. Tomorrow, monks of the Sangha with Sariputta and Moggallana at their head will come to Velukanda, not having had the morning meal. When you have fed them, you should declare the offering to be mine, and it shall be my gift of greeting." And when the night was over, Nanda's mother had much hard and soft food prepared in her house. And the monks of the Sangha, with Sariputta and Moggallana at their head, arrived at Velukanda, having had no morning meal. And Nanda's mother called the man and said, "Go, my good man, to the monks' park and say, 'It is time, reverend sirs, the meal is ready in the lady Nanda's mother's house.' 'Yes, lady,' he replied, and he did so. And dressing early, taking bowl and robe, the monks with Sariputta and Moggallana at their head came to Nanda's mother's house and sat down on the seats arranged there. And the lay disciple, Nanda's mother, served them with her own hands with much hard and soft food and satisfied them. And when the Venerable Sariputta had eaten and withdrawn his hand from the bowl, Nanda's mother sat down at one side, and he said to her seated thus, "But who told you, O mother of Nanda, of the coming of the monks of the Sangha?" And she said, "Reverend sir, I arose in the night before dawn. I sang the way to the beyond and was silent. Then came the royal Deva, Vesavana, and told me of your arrival and begged me to declare this offering his. Reverend sir, let all the merit in this giving be to the happiness of the royal Deva, Vesavana." And the Venerable Sariputta said, "It is marvelous and wonderful, O Mother of Nanda, that you should talk face to face with a Deva so powerful, so mighty." I'll just stop here for a moment to comment. You see, this Nanda's mother sang the way to the beyond. It is one of the suttas in the Sattakanipata. And the Sattakanipata now is considered one of the very old suttas. And this Deva came to congratulate her, and she could talk with this Deva. That means this Nanda's mother is quite an accomplished lay disciple. He could see the Deva and could talk with the Deva. And the Deva told her to make this food offering to the monks and say that the offering is his. So Nanda's mother offered the monks the food, and after the monks had eaten their food, it is said here And when the Venerable Sariputta had eaten and withdrawn his hand from the bowl, Nanda's mother sat down at one side. So you see, normally, if the monks have not finished eating, they would still hold on to the bowl. But when they have finished eating, they withdraw the hand from the bowl, probably they put down the bowl. Then the lay people can come and talk to the monks. Because in the Vinaya of the monks, unless all the monks have finished eating, they don't get up, they wait for everyone to have finished eating. So this Nanda's mother said to the Venerable Sariputta here, let all the merit in this giving be to the happiness of the royal Deva Vesavana. See, this is an instance of the transference of merit. This person, Nanda's mother, had given this food offering, and she said, this is all, the merit in all this giving is for the happiness of the royal Deva Vesavana. In the 4 Nikayas, we have only 2 suttas concerning the transference of merit. This is one of them. The other one is in Anguttara Nikaya 10.177 concerning merit for the dead. And then the sutta continues, where this Nanda's mother said, Reverend Sir, that is not the only marvelous thing that has happened to me. There is indeed another. Rajas, for some reason, took by force and slew my only son, Nanda, who was dear and precious to me. Yet when the boy was seized or being seized, bound or being bound, slain or being slain, I knew no disturbance of heart. And Venerable Sariputta said, it is wonderful, it is marvelous, O Mother of Nanda, that you should have so purged the surges of the heart, or the disturbances of the heart. And she said, nor is that all, Reverend Sir. When my husband died, he arose among the yakas, and he revealed himself to me in his old form. But I knew no disturbance of heart on that account. Again, Venerable Sariputta said, it is marvelous, O Mother of Nanda. And she said, nor is that all, Reverend Sir. From the day I, a young girl, was brought to my husband, then but a youth, I know of no trespass, even in thought, against my husband. How then, indeed? It is marvelous, O Mother of Nanda, that you should have so purged the surges of the heart. Nor is that all, Reverend Sir. From the day I became a confessed lay disciple, I know of no intentional transgression of any step of the training. It is marvelous, O Mother of Nanda, it is wonderful. Nor is that all, Reverend Sir, for just as long as I wish, being aloof from sense desires, aloof from unwholesome states, I enter and abide in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with delight and pleasure born of solitude. Stilling such thoughts, I enter and abide in the second jhana, which has internal self-confidence and singleness of mind, without applied and sustained thought, but with delight and pleasure born of concentration. Then with the fading away of delight, I enter and abide in the third jhana. I abide equanimous, mindful, aware, and I experience the pleasure of body, whereof Aryans declare, the equanimous and mindful dwells pleasurably. Then by putting away pleasure, by putting away pain, by the passing away of former joy and grief of mind, I enter and abide in the fourth jhana, a complete purity of mindfulness and equanimity, which is neither pleasurable nor painful. And Venerable Sariputta said, it is marvelous, O Mother of Nanda, it is wonderful. Reverend Sir, that is not all. There is yet another marvelous thing. Those 5 lower fetters declared by the Exalted One, I perceive not one in myself unabandoned. It is marvelous, wonderful, Mother of Nanda. Then the Venerable Sariputta instructed Nanda's mother with Dhamma talk, incited her, inspired her, gladdened her, and rising from his seat, he departed. That's the end of the sutta. So, you see, this Nanda's mother is a very rare disciple of the Buddha, a very gem of a disciple, with so many wonderful qualities. And when the son was slain, the only son also, she did not grieve, and she can attain all the 4 jhanas, and she has abandoned the 5 lower fetters. In other words, she is Anagamin, third stage, third fruition, Arya. You notice in the description of the 4 jhanas, in the 4th jhana it is said to be a complete purity of mindfulness and equanimity. These states of jhana are states of intense mindfulness. And the next sutta is 7.6.51. Now a certain monk approached the Exalted One, saluted and sat down at one side. And so seated, he spoke thus to the Exalted One: Lord, what is the cause, the reason, why to the learned Aryan listener doubt arises not as to unexplained points? And the Buddha said, Verily it is by view-stopping monk that doubt arises not to the learned Aryan listener as to the unexplained points. Does the Tathagata exist after death? This is but a view issue, monk. Does the Tathagata exist not after death? Both exist and exist not after death. Neither exist nor exist not after death. These are but view issues, monk. The unlearned average man understands not view origin, understands not view stopping, understands not the stepping of the way to view stopping. For him, view grows, and he is not freed from birth, old age, from being born, aging, dying, from sorrow, grief, lamentation, despair, etc. He is not freed from ill, I say. But the learned Aryan listener understands view, its origin, its stopping, the stepping of the way thereto. For him, view is stopped, and he is freed from being born, aging, dying, from sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair. He is freed from ill or dukkha, I say. Thus knowing, thus seeing, the learned Aryan listener indeed explains not, does the Tathagata exist after death? And similar questions. Thus knowing, thus seeing, the learned Aryan listener is thus subject to the inexplicable as to the unexplained points. Thus knowing, thus seeing, the learned Aryan disciple is not afraid, trembles not, wavers not, shakes not, nor falls to quaking concerning these points. Thus the Tathagata exists after death, etc. These monks are but issues of craving, are issues of perception, are but illusions, fancies, are but issues of grasping, are but a source of remorse. The unlearned average man understands not these things, their origin, their stopping, and the stepping of the way thereto. They grow, and he is not freed from birth, aging, dying, etc. He is not freed from dukkha, I say. But the learned Aryan listener understands, and is freed from dukkha, I say. Thus knowing, thus seeing, he explains not these questions, is subject to the inexplicable as to the unexplained points, is not afraid, trembles not, wavers not, shakes not, nor falls to quaking concerning these points. Verily, monk, this is the cause, the reason, why to the learned Aryan listener doubt arises not as to the unexplained points. This sutta is about the views, what the Buddha calls proliferation of views, the thicket of views. As long as we, and the cause of having all these views is mentioned in one of the suttas. It is due to having Sakkaya Ditthi. Sakkaya Ditthi is the view of being in the body. As long as we have a view of a being in the body, then we have all kinds of questions arising. Where did I come from? Where will I go after death? How did this world arise? Who created me? Who created this world? And things like mentioned here. Does the Tathagata, does the Buddha exist after death? Does the Tathagata or the Buddha not exist after death? Etc., etc. And all these views will stop when we have abandoned this view of a being in the body, and all doubt is abandoned. Okay, the next sutta is 7.6.52. The Buddha said, monks, I will teach the 7 fairings of man and the completely unattached, cool. Listen well, pay heed, I will speak. Yes, Lord, rejoined the monks, and the Exalted One said, and what monks are the 7 fairings of man? Consider a monk who steps his way thinking, if it were not, it would not be mine. it shall not become. For me, it shall not become. What is what's become that I abandon? He acquires equanimity, yearns not after life, yearns not after life to come, but sees with true wisdom that there is beyond a goal, a peace. Yet not all in all is the goal realized by him, nor all in all is the leaning towards conceit got rid of, nor that towards worldly lust, nor towards ignorance. When the 5 lower fetters are destroyed, he becomes completely cool after an interval. Monks, just as from an iron slab, heated and beaten all day, a bit may come off and cool down. Even so, a monk who steps his way thinking thus, acquires equanimity, and when the 5 lower fetters are destroyed, becomes completely cool after an interval. Again, consider a monk who, thinking likewise, becomes completely cool after an interval, just as from an iron slab, beaten and heated and beaten all day, a bit may come off, fly up and cool down. Even so, a monk becomes completely cool after an interval. Or the bit may come off, fly up, and before touching the ground, cool down. Even so, a monk becomes completely cool after an interval. Consider a monk who, thinking likewise, becomes completely cool after lessening his period. Just as the bit may come off, fly up, and after touching the ground, cool down. Even so, a monk becomes cool after lessening his period. Consider the monk who, without exertion, becomes completely cool, just as the bit may come off, fly up, and fall on some small heap of grass, heap of sticks, kindle fire, kindle smoke, and consume that small heap, and cool down from want of fuel. Even so, a monk, without exertion, becomes completely cool. Consider the monk who, with some exertion, becomes completely cool, just as the bit may fall on a large heap of grass, heap of sticks, kindle fire, kindle smoke, and consume that large heap, and cool down from want of fuel. Even so, a monk with some exertion becomes completely cool. Consider a monk who thinks likewise, acquires equanimity, yearns not after life or life to come, but sees the goal, yet not all in all realizes it, nor all in all has got rid of the leanings towards conceit, worldly lust and ignorance. But when the 5 lower fetters are destroyed, he becomes part of the upward stream, bound for the highest. Just as from an iron slab, heated and beaten all day, a bit may come off, fly up, and fall on a large heap of grass, a large heap of sticks, kindle fire, kindle smoke, consume that large heap, set fire to the shrubland, set fire to the woodland, and burning there come to the edge of a green cornfield, upland, rock, water, or lush countryside, and there cool down from want of fuel. Even so, a monk who steps his way thinking thus, on destroying the 5 lower fetters, becomes part of the upward stream, bound for the highest. Verily, monks, these are the 7 farings of man. And what is the completely unattached cool? Consider a monk who steps his way thinking, if it were not mine, if it were not, it would not be mine, it shall not become, for me it shall not become. What is what's become that I abandon? He acquires equanimity, yearns not after life, yearns not after life to come, but with true wisdom sees that there is beyond a goal, a peace, and that goal is verily all in all realized by him, and all in all is the leaning towards conceit got rid of by him, the leaning towards worldly lust and leaning towards ignorance. Destroying the asavas, he enters and abides in the asava-free, emancipation by mind, emancipation by wisdom, here and now, realizing it himself by his own knowledge. This monk is called the completely unattached cool. Verily, monks, these are the 7 farings of man and the completely unattached cool. This sutta is one of those which are a bit difficult. Firstly, the Buddha talks about this passage. If it were not, it would not be mine. And the commentary says, what it means is, if it were not for my past karma, my present body, person would not exist. I repeat, if it were not for my past karma, my present body, person would not exist. And then it continues, it shall not become, for me it shall not become. What is what's become that I abandon? In other words, if I don't create any more karma, then I shall not have this body again. And what is the present body that I abandon? But if we think about it, instead of karma, we could also say craving. If it were not for craving, I would not exist today. Or if it were not for ignorance in the past, I would not exist today. And if I could cut off my craving or ignorance now, then I shall not become again. And what is that is the present craving or the present ignorance that I abandon. So this can equally apply to craving and to ignorance. Now after that, this sutta talks about the similes for the 5 types of anagamin, a non-returner, a third fruition person. This is the only sutta which gives this simile for the 5 types of anagamin. The first type is called an Anguttara Nikaya. This is a person, the anagamin, who becomes completely cool after an interval. And the simile given is that a blacksmith heats up an iron slab the whole day, and he beat on this iron slab. He heats it up and he beats it the whole day, and a chip, a bit of the iron slab, a chip flies off, and then it cools down before touching the ground. So fast it cools down. This is the Anguttara Nikaya, the first type of anagamin, who becomes completely cool after a short interval. The second type is called the Upahacha Nikaya. This is the one who becomes cool after lessening his period. And the simile given here is that the iron slab that is heated and beaten, a bit flies off, and after touching the ground, as soon as it touches the ground, it cools down. So this is the second type of anagamin. The third type is called the Asankara Nikaya, and this is the one who, without exertion, he becomes completely cool, enters Nibbana. And the simile given here is that bit from the iron slab, which is heated and beaten the whole day, that bit flies off and falls on a small heap of grass, sticks, a small heap of grass and sticks, and makes the small heap of grass and sticks catch fire, and kindles fire and kindles smoke, and then that small heap is burnt up, and this iron bit cools down. That's the third type. The fourth type is called the Sasankara Nikaya. This is the anagamin who, with some exertion, becomes completely cool. And the simile given here is that bit from that heated iron slab falls on a large heap of grass and sticks, and it kindles fire and kindles smoke and consumes the large heap of sticks and grass before it cools down. And then the last type of anagamin is called the Udang Sota Akanita Gami. And this is called the anagamin who becomes part of the upward stream bound for the highest. And this one takes the longest. The simile given here is the bit flies off and falls on a large heap of grass and sticks, and then it kindles fire and kindles smoke, and it consumes that large heap, and in addition it sets fire to the neighboring shrubland, sets fire to the woodland, and keeps on burning until the fire comes to the edge of a green field, or comes to rock or water, and then it stops. So this refers to the type of anagamin who passes through the 5 levels of heavens in the Suddhavasa abodes. there are 5 levels of heavens. So he goes from one level to another and finally enters Nibbana. From this simile, we can see that an Anagamin, in a way, has finished his work on the worldly plane. Just as that iron bit from the bit from the iron slab, which has been heated and beaten the whole day, when it flies up and falls down, it must cool down after some time. It must cool down naturally. So in the same way, all Anagamins, whether they take a short time or they take a longer time in the Suddhavasa abodes, the 4th jhana plane, eventually they cool down. Even though they don't make any effort, they still cool down to Nibbana.